Every time I visit the Uffizi, I stop at the panoramic windows on the second floor. Everyone does. There's a great view. The Ponte Vecchio below, the cascade of bridges along the Arno, the scattered domes and rooftops. But mixed in with all of that is a secret elevated corridor built for the Medici so they could walk high above the city. Today, it's called the Corridoio Vasari, or Vasari Corridor. And what most people don't realize is that they're already looking at it. After 8 years of restoration, the corridor is finally open again. I've been inside, and today I'm going to tell you what it is, whether it's worth visiting, and how to book it. If you're new here, I'm Alyssa. I live in Rome, and I've been coming to Florence for over 20 years, and I know this city almost as well as my own. So what is the Vasari Corridor? Maybe you've heard of it, but you're not sure what it is or why it's called that. You've probably heard of the Medici, the most powerful family in Renaissance Florence. They made their money mostly through banking. Many of them became rulers of Florence, wielding enormous power over the city and its people. Cosimo I became duke in 1537. He governed from and lived in what we call Palazzo Vecchio today. But at that time it was known as Palazzo della Signoria, the seat of Florentine government. In 1549, the wife of Cosimo I, Eleonora of Toledo, bought Palazzo Pitti, a grand residence on the other side of the Arno River. Now, Cosimo had a new home on one side of the river, but his offices were on the other side. What he didn't have was a safe way to move between them. Florence's streets were crowded, chaotic, pretty filthy, and probably not that safe, let alone for a wealthy man like Cosimo de' Medici. Plus, I'm sure he didn't really want to mix with the hoi polloi. In 1565, he commissioned his trusted architect, Giorgio Vasari, to come up with a solution. Vasari's plan was audacious: build above it all. Vasari got it built in just 5 months. When those Medici wanted something done, they got it done. I'm coming to you from underneath the Vasari Corridor. It's running above me. The corridor runs about 1 kilometer, leaving the Uffizi, running along the Arno, across the Ponte Vecchio, through the Oltrarno, and finishing at Pitti Palace. At this point where I'm standing, Vasari ran into a bit of a snag. The noble family who owned the tower at the end of the bridge refused to let Vasari cut through it, so he just built around it. Vasari also had the corridor pass through the church of Santa Felicita, behind me. He built the Medici a private balcony inside, so they could attend Mass without having to sit with the congregation below. They were literally above everyone, even in church. Before I tell you whether it's worth your time and money, let me show you what it's like inside. By the way, in Italian, the word for office is ufficio, and plural is uffici, so Uffizi comes from offices, the Medici's offices. Alessandro and I visited the Vasari Corridor not long after it reopened. We began walking through the corridor from inside the Uffizi, and before long we were walking high above the Ponte Vecchio. A lot of the windows are small, and many of them have bars over them, almost like little portholes. So we kept getting these peekaboo glimpses of the scenes below us. I tried to imagine being a Medici 500 years ago, looking down through the windows at people who had no idea they were being watched from up here. Today, the corridor is well lit and renovated, but can you imagine what it was like back then? It would have been lit by torches, and I might have smelled the waxy smoke mixed in with the stench of fish and meat vendors on the Ponte Vecchio below. Well guys, it started to pour, so I had to move back under the Vasari Corridor. As I was saying, because of that nasty smell, in 1594, Grand Duke Ferdinand I de' Medici ordered that the fish and meat vendors on the Ponte Vecchio be replaced by jewelers. And to this day, that's what you find on the Ponte Vecchio. As we wound our way along the corridor, we came to the point where it passed through the church of Santa Felicita. This was another moment when I put myself back in the 1500s. The Medici would be up here attending services, but not being part of them, like the people below. If you visit Santa Felicita from street level, turn around and look up at the passageway and the balcony where the Medici sat. The corridor itself feels spare and elegant. The old portrait collection is gone, replaced with ancient busts and Roman inscriptions along the walls. I know a marble bust collection might seem monotonous, but I enjoy stopping to look at some of them to see who they were. While Alessandro chatted with the guide, I lingered at the back of the tour. And when they all turned the corner, I was alone for a moment, just me and a long stretch of bus down the corridor. I loved this view. The tour ends where you might not expect. At the end of the corridor, we stepped out into the entrance of the Boboli Gardens, right next to the Buontalenti Grotto, an elaborate artificial cave built for the Medici. This felt like the perfect time and place to end the tour. After spending nearly 3 hours in the Uffizi and another hour in the corridor, we were done for the day. And I was happy we didn't have to backtrack through the corridor. Walking out of Palazzo Pitti meant we could wander the streets of Florence and make our way back to our hotel for a short rest before dinner. Depending on your itinerary and what time you planned this visit for, you could add a visit to the Boboli Gardens and Pitti Palace, or one or the other. These are separate tickets and you can purchase them on site. And personally, I wouldn't book tickets for the Pitti Palace or the Boboli Gardens in advance on the day you plan to visit the Vasari Corridor. You might feel the same way we did. If this is your first visit to Florence and your time is limited, the Uffizi alone might be enough. It's a lot. Not just in terms of time, but sensory overload. There's a reason they call it Stendhal syndrome. Florence has a way of overwhelming you with its beauty. But if you've been to Florence before, or even if you're a first-time visitor who wants to pack a lot in, then put the Vasari Corridor on your list. It adds less than an hour to your Uffizi visit, it's unlike anything else you'll see in Florence, and it shows you a side of the city that most people never get to see. Literally. If you love Renaissance history, if you want to get off the beaten path, or if you just want to understand how the most powerful family in Florence Renaissance history lived, this is for you. You can easily book this directly on the Uffizi official website. When you book, the time you choose is your corridor visit time. And with that ticket, you can visit the museums beforehand. This is one ticket you want to book in advance because space is limited and it could sell out. Tickets are 47 euros if you book in advance, or 43 euros if you book on the day, assuming you find any availability. If you already have Uffizi tickets, you can pay a 20 euro supplement to add the Vasari Corridor. Sorry guys, I'm filming this for you on a rainy day, so I hope you like my umbrella. As I was saying, you can enter the Uffizi galleries anytime prior to your Vasari Corridor entrance time. They recommend at least 2 hours, but I would recommend at least 3, if not more. They say that you need a minimum of 45 minutes to reach the meeting point from the entrance of the Uffizi. I just timed it, and it takes less than that, but I know the museums, and you've got to contend with finding your way around, maybe stopping for a bathroom break, and not exactly knowing where you're going. Also, I really can't imagine being inside the Uffizi galleries and not looking at least some of the art. A couple of important things to know about visiting the Uffizi galleries before you visit the Vasari Corridor. To give yourself enough time, you're going to want to decide what you want to see in there. Many people come to see works by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, but there is so much more. The entrance to the Vasari Corridor is on the lower level. Your visit to the museums starts on the second level. And from there, you can walk around and see all of the galleries, and you can also stop at the outdoor cafe if you like. Give yourself at least an hour for the upper galleries and some time if you want to stop for some refreshment. The visit then continues to the lower level, and that's where you'll find the entrance to the Vasari Corridor. But the lower level is no slouch. Down there, you'll find works by Botticelli, Titian, Rembrandt, Caravaggio, and so many more. You should also know that at the time I'm making this video for you, the room that has the Caravaggio paintings is after the entrance to the Vasari Corridor. So you should plan to go visit that and then backtrack to make your way to the Vasari Corridor tour entrance. Just make sure you make it to the meeting point at D19 on the lower floor at least 5 minutes before your time slot. If you're late, they will leave without you and you'll miss your visit. Room D19 is not hard to find. There are signs throughout the museum, and you can ask staff if you need to. As for how to dress, I recommend comfortable clothes and good walking shoes you've already broken in. Officially, backpacks are not allowed, but in practice, small, school-sized backpacks seem to be fine, although you may be asked to wear it on your front. Leave any large, oversized backpacks and big umbrellas back at your apartment or hotel. And try to avoid leaving anything in the cloakroom. As I mentioned earlier, the corridor is one way and you exit at Pitti Palace, not at the Uffizi. If you leave something in the cloakroom of the Uffizi, you'll have to walk all the way back there from Pitti Palace to collect it at the end of the tour. If you like the idea of this kind of special visit in Florence, I did another video about seeing Florence from above, from the terraces of the Duomo, where we closed the cathedral with the Keymaster. That video is up next.